Welcome to another week of Soap Secrets. I hope you had a great week. We've got some brilliant gossip on the soaps this week. And starting, as always, is Victoria Wilson with Holby. And you're going to kick off with a bit of a bang, aren't you?
Yes, there's been some exciting Holby news this week. It's funny how we were just talking last week about old poor Cush being murdered in EastEnders, and we were kind of speculating on where actor Davud Gadami might venture next. Then lo and behold, it was revealed that he would be joining Holby City as Surgeon Eli Ebrahimi. He joins later.
I love the way they soap hop. It's so weird because at first you're like, no, sorry, you're Cush. And then within about a week, you're totally bought into the new character, aren't you?
Oh, yeah, totally. It's like, Mark Elliott. He was known for being EastEnders Christian, and then all of a sudden he joined Holby as Isaac, evil Isaac, but he was absolutely brilliant. I'm hoping there's a way they can bring him back in. But anyway, so Davud joins later this year, and we're told that Eli is excitable, passionate, and exploding with energy. That description alone means we can't wait to see what he gets up to.
Is he going to be a good cop or a bad cop? I should say a good doc or a bad doc.
Yeah, well, it's Holby, so as we always say, who knows?
Who knows? So, big episode last week, wasn't there?
Oh, yeah. So last week's episode, the most recent episode, we should say, ended with the death of Henrik Hanssen's evil abuser, Sahira's father, Reyhan Shah. Move on to that happened right at the very end, and as we open this week's episode, Keon and Chloe are kind of they've discovered he's died, but as they assess the deceased's condition, it doesn't seem like he died of natural causes. And so they're forced to raise the alarm with Fletch, who's obviously stepped in as acting CEO following Max's incident, as it were. So now we know that tensions were running high. In the last episode, we had Reyhan basically goading Hanssen about how no one would believe his allegations in court. And then Sahira, who hadn't believed Hanssen's claims up to that point, then discovered that her father had actually abused her own son, Abs. Both had motive, I suppose, but could either of them be capable of murder?
Do you know what? I thought this might have been eked out a bit longer. I sort of didn't really think that this is how it would end. When I say end, I mean the abuser, sort of that's finished and over. Or did you see it coming?
Well, I don't know. I guess now you still, okay, he's died, but as with any sort of thing like this, I'd imagine the torment still lives on in Hanssen. So I'd still very much see, Reyhan doesn't have to physically be there to cause him harm. So I think that's probably what we're going to see. So I don't think the storyline is over by a long way.
Okay.
There's further development with this storyline, obviously, because Fletch finds out what's happened, and he's sort of forced to order a post-mortem to determine the cause of death. Hanssen's like, can I see the coroner's report? But Fletcher's like, well, I'm the boss and only I can look at it. So then we see kind of Hanssen making a phone call to somebody. It sounds like they'd asked him, did he want to return as CEO when Max left? He didn't want it, obviously, because he was going through so much emotionally. So Fletch stepped in. But now we see it seems like he's maybe changing his mind as CEO. Anything to get his hands on that coroner's report.
Yeah.
And then I guess the question is, will Fletch step aside? He's certainly having his work cut out in this week's episode, our Fletch.
And Keon is still up to his old tricks, isn't he?
Well, there are some light-hearted scenes this week involving Keon and Lucky. And at first it seems it's all going on between the pair as we see Lucky kissing a half-naked Keon in the locker room.
Ooh!
That came from nowhere.
Yeah.
Unfortunately for her, we then discover it's all just a dream.
This is light-hearted.
Yeah.
Partly surreal too.
It's very surreal, quite brutal. Poor Lucky, she's clearly got the hots for Keon. Can't work out why not. Anyway, so Lucky's heavily involved in this case on Darwin of refugee Andre. And now he's the guy who Keon recently discovered was being used as a drug mule. And after surgery, Andre then found Keon had taken a load of the drugs that he took from inside of him. Wanting to keep their secret, Lucky inquires about Andre's situation this week, and Keon lies to her, saying that he's notified social services about Andre. He doesn't want her to get the authorities involved, so he's very much trying to keep Andre close by, and really close, it turns out, because we discover right at the end that he's actually taken Andre home to live with him. I suppose the question is, will Lucky ever uncover the truth, and will it colour how she feels about Keon?
Kind of should do.
Or will be revealed. Well, yeah, I don't know though. I guess I can understand where she's coming from.
And Fletcher's got his work cut out as well, hasn't he, as the new CEO? Not with everything happening last week too, but also Donna's up in arms, and she wants a pay rise for her nurses. Yeah,
well, she kind of feels that they're sort of the unsung heroes. They're the ones who do all of the work and get none of the credit. And she has a meeting. She calls a meeting. It's always the doctors that get all the recognition. So she calls a meeting with Fletch and the new director of funding, Jenny Sinclair, played by Deborah Stevenson, and she's sort of just fighting the nurses' corner, really. She wants to make sure they're paid properly for overtime.
Fair enough, isn't it, really?
Yeah, and various other things.
I don't know if CEOs have that kind of, back in the real world, do they have that kind of power to decide that?
No, he basically tells her straight, I would love to help, because these, you got to remember, these are old friends. So, yeah, of course, with the best will in the world, he would love to help her. And I don't know whether she's sort of leaning on the fact that they have always been good friends. So to try and sort of get what she needs. But, she makes it clear that if the nurses don't start seeing a change soon, they are going to protest. So he's sort of got that on his hands as well. This story takes a little bit of a turn in that obviously you've got Donna there, who's worried about money and doctors having all the money, and there we are, we've got Dr. Dom on Keller, who's recently been given a massive payout, so already a well-paid doctor who's rich, who's been made loads richer because of his payout over the situation surrounding his surgery. There's a quite sweet storyline going on there as well with him and two women who have been undergoing IVF. They have complications, and they feel like they've reached the end of the road, and then all of a sudden a mystery benefactor puts $5,000 in their account. Who could that be?
Who could that be?
Who could that be? So yeah, it's all going on. There's lots of light and shade again. It's amazing what they're being able to cram into these 40-minute episodes.
It really is.
It's a really good week.
I like the surreal part. I'm looking forward to that bit.
Yeah, that's good fun. Poor Lucky, bless her.
Oh, well, thank you, Victoria. Another great week. We're going to go from one hospital ward to another. Casualty. So, hi, Claire. Sorry, I haven't welcomed you. Claire Ruck to the room.
Hi,
Casualty.
Hannah.
Hello there. So, Jan's kind of very shocking drug storyline really wraps up this week, doesn't it?
It does. And we see Jan, she's so nervy and distressed. She's walking along the road with Fionn, and just a motorcycle just drives past her, and she throws Fionn to the floor because last time a motorcycle came up, they attacked Fionn. So she's really, really stressed about the whole situation, and she thinks, I can't handle this. I'm going to do the right thing. I'm going to confess all to the police. And Ian he's trying to stop her doing this because, he knows that if she does confess all to the police, there's only one place she's going, Hannah, isn't it? She's going to jail.
Yeah, absolutely. So does she?
So in desperation, he gets a prison visit with her son Ross, and he hates Ross with a passion because Ross supplied drugs to a friend of his who died. And they cook up a plan for Ross to get his mum not to confess. So Ross fakes a seizure and he gets taken to ER, where Jan comes rushing in going, "What's the matter, Ross? What's the matter?" And he begs his mum not to tell the police, but Jan is resolute. And then Ian confesses all to Fionn as well, and she finds out the truth. Now, Fion's a policewoman, so this puts her in an very awkward position, an awful position. She's hiding something from, as drug smuggling. She's hiding this from the authorities. This is really serious. So she goes down to the police station and waits for an appointment to confess all. Will she lose her freedom, her career, her wife and her son? Is this the end of Jan?
Oh, no, surely not. I feel like she's done stuff wrong, but it's sort of a victim of circumstance to a degree.
Yes, but she still smuggled drugs into prison.
Yeah, that's a bad thing. But I feel like she's not a baddie. That there must be some reprieve for somebody who was backed into a corner in the way she was, or that she might do a bit of time, but not loads.
You'll have to wait and see how it plays out on screen.
And Leon leaves.
I know. I'm so upset. I couldn't believe it. When I read this, I thought no. And then I watched the episode and I was even more upset. I think Leon brings a lot to the series and to the paramedics because, Lev's really grumpy. Phoenicia's quite bubbly, but she's a new mum. Jan's been doing all the drug stuff. And Leon, he just gets on with the job. He smiles. He chats all the ladies up. He's just a great guy. But he's only there on secondment, and he goes for a job interview because a position opens up, and he's going up against Ian Dean. He has worked there before. Ian, he's part of Hems, and very sadly, Ian gets the job, and Leon leaves. I think I want to say to the writers, bring him back. Bring him back, definitely. There's always room for Leon. Yeah.
Make another job available. It's a bit of a great week, actually, because it's a special treat. We have casualty expert Elaine Riley chatting to Di Botcher, who, as you all know, plays Jan, and she'll be talking about, what's going on and this kind of real walk on the wild side. So really exciting to chat to her.
Hi, I'm Elaine Riley, What's on TV's casualty correspondent. So we're joined here today by Di Botcher, who played Jan Jennings from Casualty. And Jan's shocking drug smuggling storyline is about to reach a big conclusion. So, Di, what can you tell us, please?
What about Jan's shocking drug smuggling?
Yeah. Where's it going?
Really, basically, it's so out of character. And I didn't think she'd do it. When I first read the script, I thought, there's no way Jan's going to do this. And how is she going to do it? And then I found out it was by a terrible way. She can't get access to the drugs cabinet, obviously, without everybody knowing that something's gone missing.
Yeah.
And so she robs the tablets from her dead patients and squirrels them away until she gets the call to go to a prison, ostensibly to do a pickup of somebody who's been injured, but actually to go in there and drop the drugs off, to hide them somewhere. And, she does it, is absolutely terrified by the experience and gets through it and thinks that's it. But of course it's not. She's sort of, this is the beginning of it. They're never going to let go of this. This is gold dust, having a paramedic drugs into prison. And so she's caught. And when she says no, then she's threatened, and her nearest and dearest are physically hurt. So she's in a nightmare, and who can she tell? So it is a bit shocking. It's a bit horrible, and it's something that I'm sure a situation nobody would ever want to be in.
But good to play. Is it nice meaty storyline?
Well, who doesn't want a nice meaty storyline? It's sort of a bit stressful. I think my shoulders are up around my ears by the time they shout cut.
Okay.
But yes, it's wonderful to do. We were a bit hampered by having to do everything with PPE on, so that we were all completely dressed up in our protective uniform. But also you can make a virtue out of that, which I think the director did by just focusing in on the eyes, which because you feel so isolated in that PPE, and you can't react like a normal person, and you're just sort of looking around, waiting for somebody to say, "Oi, you, what you doing?" It's pretty horrible, really.
Done a really good job. I mean, just imagining if things go completely pear-shaped, she's potentially looking at prison sentence here. How do you think? How do you think Jan would get on inside?
I think she'd be like Queen Bee, actually. I think that she's got a lot of skills. She's got good organisational skills. Obviously, anything to do medically, she'd be okay. And she's a leader. She's a natural leader. So I think that as much as she'd be absolutely, out of her mind with upset, I think once she settled in, if she got a big long stretch, she'd end up like Queen Bee, I think.
We could have a spin-off there.
She'd be all right. She'd be organising first aid classes and literacy classes and things like that. Don't you think so?
I can see it. Oh, that's brilliant. I'll just turn that off now. That's brilliant. Thank you so much for that.
Now, moving on to the Cobbles. It's going to be another big week. I mean, I keep saying this. I feel like I might as well just sort of repeat every week, because it's just bumper week after bumper week, isn't it? But this really is going to be a big week for Coronation Street, isn't it?
It is. So Coronation Street, if you ask me, has been on fire. It just doesn't stop. It goes from one big storyline to another, and this is another big storyline. So we had really back from last November, when Leanne's little son died, and then we went through all the drug stuff with Harvey. We're still sort of wrapping that one up, but this week is the beginning of another big storyline featuring all the young cast members, and it is really all the young cast members.
I think it's a good idea to do that, actually. I think it's a great move.
Yeah, it is. And you really, as a Corrie fan, you won't want to miss this week. So we talked about this last week. Next week, it is meant to be the wedding of Abby and Kevin. And this week, so then they're having their hen and stag do's. And Abby fears her wedding is cursed, and she might well be right with the number of setbacks she's having. And the biggest
Who would have thought that in a soap?
I know. Weddings never just go. And so the biggest being, of course, Kevin and Tyrone falling out, and that's so sad. I know Tyrone and Fizz were your favourite couple, and he's run off with Alina and all of this. So we had all of that last week with Tyrone saying, "Hey, I'm bringing Alina," and and everyone getting a bit upset.
He's so tone deaf, Tyrone. Honestly, he's not my favourite anymore at all.
No. So she really feels that her wedding is cursed, and but the hen and stag do's go ahead this week, and as they're going ahead, Asha, Dev's lovely, really gorgeous daughter, has taken up with bad boy Corrie, and they've actually moved in together. I mean, all women love a bad boy sometimes, but she's really picked a wrong one there, I think. And and she's not a bad girl, so she wants to do boring girly things like staying with a box set, and he wants to go out and be a bad boy. So desperate to keep his attention, she agrees to go with him and his mates in a stolen car for a joyride, and they end up down by the canal. A couple of others are in there with them, Summer and Kelly. So this is, as we say, all the youngsters. You've got Asha, Cora, Kelly, Summer, Amy. Sensible Amy, despite the fact that her mummy is Tracy, isn't there, and then walking along the canal, loved up, come goths Nina and Seb, and what next, I have to give a warning, is absolutely shocking. Absolutely shocking. Seb is Abby's son, and Nina and Seb are subjected to an unprovoked and vicious hate crime attack by Corrie and Kelly just because of the way they look. So Asher at this point and Summer have gone home. They find out the car is stolen. They're unhappy. They leave the canal area and walk home. So they're not there. Kelly, she, egged on by Corrie, she slaps Nina, but that's all she does, and then she leaves. But then Corrie and his gang set about and attack these two lovely
this is just
people.
so awful.
It is.
Awful.
And it's not just a black eye, it's very serious. Nina needs surgery and Seb is hospitalised looking black and blue.
Will they remember what happened? I mean, because... Or will they be too frightened to tell the police,
Well, so I mean, that's going on to next week, which I can't really talk about. But, I mean... I think Nina needs surgery, so there is a possibility she won't have memory.
Yeah.
And obviously, they are very badly attacked. As I said, it's not just a black eye. Needing surgery is very serious. And Abby and Roy rush to the hospital, and Abby obviously cancels the wedding.
Yeah.
But, as the gang close ranks, will the police discover the culprits?
Jolly well, I hope so. That's absolutely horrible.
It is, isn't it? It's shocking. It's absolutely shocking.
Well, do you know what, though? It's a really... almost doesn't feel like we're talking about Corrie, does it?
No.
It's funny, but I think it's a really good thing to do, because I think quite often we focus around these sort of older cast members, and actually, these are the people that will be the future. So
Yes.
It's really good to get behind them. So we're definitely an episode not to be missed. Emmerdale, moving on to Emmerdale. Bernice is returning to the Dales.
I know. Samantha Giles is finally coming back.
I'm
Yay.
pleased about that. That is great news.
She needs to, doesn't she, Hannah?
She really
because
does.
Daughter Gabby's pregnant with a tape baby.
Yeah, this is just a bad thing. Bad news. She's got to come and sort things out.
She has. Gabby's been really reeling without a mum there, and I think it's about time, Bernice came back. And also, Bernice's ex-fiancé Liam is about to marry Layla, so it's all going to kick off. Absolutely all going to kick off.
It really is. And got another big shock this week, haven't we? Because, it is really shocking. Lydia finds herself being arrested.
Yes, she does. Lovely Lydia. She's there's no way she's a criminal. She's married to Sam. She's just lovely, and she's very caring. She's a caring dingle, she's had success at counselling Vinny after the loss of his father and his father beating him up. So she's been really helpful, and Mandy persuades her to apply for a pupil liaison job at the local school. She does the interview, obviously, as we're all doing interviews at the moment, online, and she does it in the cafe. And as she opens up her laptop, all these weird sort of pop-ups come up, and she's not a bad person, so she doesn't really understand what they are and gets rid of them. She does the interview, and then just as she's finishing, a police officer enters the cafe and arrests her, Hannah, on suspicion of running a scam pension scheme. So
I can only think of one person here who set this up. Can't you?
Well, I would have imagined it would have been Paul, or it could be Mac, Moira's brother, but it's got to be somebody that has access
to the laptop,
to the house and the laptop, because the laptop obviously sits in her house. So Paul was coming and going from that house a lot.
I mean, once they start, really drilling down, surely she'll be off the hook pretty quickly.
I would hope so. Yes. Yeah.
Poor Lydia.
I know.
Gosh. Right. EastEnders. Don't tell me it's another explosive episode of EastEnders. I can't cope.
And also, it's regarding your favourite couple, your other favourite couples. So, Linda is forced. She's forced to admit that she thinks she's pregnant.
Wow. I mean, I didn't see this on the card.
No. So
yeah, but is it mixed? I mean, let's be honest. She did have a dalliance with Max. Is the timing about right?
Well, we'd have to wait and see.
But Mick knows about Max.
He does, yes. He does.
Mick's such a nice person. I can almost imagine him just going, do you know what? Finding it hard, but getting on with it.
He might well do. We don't know yet. I mean, she did sleep with Max at Christmas. She did sleep with him. We know that. The fans know it. You know it.
It's quite a long time, though. Quite a long period of time before finding out you're pregnant. I don't know. I'm being, it's got to be Mick's.
You're going to go with me.
I'm hoping. Oh no! Oh.
It's just more trauma. So actually, in the actor who plays Linda is actually pregnant in real life, and I suspect maybe the writers are doing something. Kelly Bright's pregnant, and they've got so many pregnant ladies in EastEnders. There must have something in the water. So Stacey. Lacey Turner, who plays Stacey, she went off she's had her baby, she's on mat leave. And Louise Lytton, who plays Ruby, she's also pregnant. So they're obviously going to have, but she's only just pregnant, so they're going to have to write her out. And obviously, Kelly Bright is pregnant, so at some point, she will have to take a mat leave break. So who knows? Who knows?
So yeah, it could well be. Yeah, I see trouble in my crystal ball. And last week, little Bailey ran away from home. Sort of concerned that she was kind of a burden, I suppose, on the family, which of course she's not. But the whole square turns out to look for her. But they don't find. Well, we see as the viewers, don't we, that she's sleeping in a sleeping bag under an underpass, which is not good at all. And I guess the question is, will she be found in time?
Yeah, this is a really serious question. I mean, she's very little. She's 11. She should not be under an underpass in a sleeping bag with her.
She's a baby
dog.
still.
She is a baby, and I'm very worried about her. What's going to happen? The whole square turns out looking for her. Jack suggests they do an appeal. Most of the week this week they are looking for little Bailey, and will she be found in time?
Do you can't really pick your soaps these days, can you?
No.
For storylines, because they're all just absolutely banging. Okay, Hollyoaks. First appearance, very excitingly, of Curtis Pritchard as Jacob.
I know. We saw his brother AJ Pritchard pitch up about a month ago now, I think it was. And this week we see Curtis, and they're both good-looking boys. So,
of course they are.
And as he plays Jacob, and as he meets up with his brother Marco, it's clear they have a plan for Trish. What are they up to? Because they're both dancers, and she runs a dancing studio. I suspect there's nefarious plans afoot.
And kind of on the Sienna storyline, Summer's still hoodwinking Sienna, isn't she?
Yes.
And pretending to be her best friend. It's a bit grim to watch.
It is. And this week, Sienna, she had wanted to get back with Brodie, but, Summer's got a clause into Brodie, and that's not going anywhere. And so she's been on a dating app, and she's excited to go.
What could possibly go wrong?
Well, it's a soap, so quite a lot. This week, she's been on this dating app, and she gets a date with this guy called Leo. So Summer's a bit obsessed about this and wants to, wreak more havoc in her life. And she breaks into Sienna's flat, and while she's there, she hears Sienna's phone go off, and she sees the message, and it's from Leo saying, "Hey, can we rearrange?" And so Summer answers the text, and she rearranges it, and then Summer pitches up at the new meeting place, pretending to be Sienna. What is going on?
What is going on? You can't tell me, can you, Claire?
No.
Well, I don't know what to say. Another absolutely brilliant week. You need to tune in to every single one of them. Clear your diary. I know it's not difficult right now, but seriously, those walks can wait, and get watching. Thanks for listening, and we will be back next week.